Welcome everyone to this live stream on the vastness of the work of Grandmaster Choco Kusui. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're healthy and happy. To start with, I would like to thank the Institute for Inner Studies for this opportunity to share this topic with you. I chose this topic because we have a mixed audience of both experienced pranic healers and people that are new to pranic healing. This live stream is based on a talk I normally hold to give an overview of all the beautiful things you can learn with pranic healing. I'll try to make it, and I'll have some slides as well. So I hope everyone is ready. It's 2 minutes after 8 in the Philippines, 2 minutes after 2 in the Netherlands, where I am right now. Before we start, let's do an invocation. So if you please just close your eyes and relax. Take a few breaths, center yourself. And from this place of inner peace, we invoke to the Universal Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, Master Choco Kusui, all the spiritual teachers, all the beings that help and guide us. We humbly invoke for divine light, divine love, divine power, guidance, help, and protection, mercy, and forgiveness. And we especially invoke for everything all of us need at this point in time, with thanks and in full faith. So let's move to the presentation. Of course, we cannot start talking about the vastness of the work without talking about Master Choa first. I met Grandmaster during the World Pranic Healing Convention in 2002. I was about to start teaching basic pranic healing and was still a bit skeptical because, we had this book, Miracles Through Pranic Healing, and I looked at it, and there was this author, and it was this Chinese guy in a suit, and also it's Grandmaster Choco Kusui, and I had some bad experiences in the past with someone else that called himself a Grandmaster. So I was still a bit skeptical, and luckily it's something that Grandmaster appreciated, to not swallow things blindly. So as I arrived at the convention, at some point in time I was introduced to him, and I was introduced like this is a new instructor in the Netherlands, and at that point I don't know exactly what he did, but I think he looked away and he removed a lot of my negative pent-up energies I had inside, and for a limited time, for a few days, I was able to see the auras and chakras of people walking by, and yeah, that was amazing. So he really gave me the opportunity to validate the teachings, and he humored me, because at that point I didn't know. Later I understood that he knew exactly what I was there to find out and to validate for myself. And this was my first encounter with Master Choa, and it was already so amazing. I was lucky enough to spend more time with him over the years. He appointed us to be the direct licensees in the Netherlands and Belgium in 2006. So from 2002 to 2007, because that's when he left his body, we were able to have some more interactions and stories. Maybe we'll have time to cover more of them. But this was my first meeting, and it was already such an amazing experience. Master Choa is a great soul. For me, he's still very much present and in my life, and hopefully also for the other students, you can still tap into his consciousness. The teacher is not the body. Luckily, he left us with a lot of beautiful things which uh, I will go over now. So here's an overview of the courses. Not all of them, because one, they would never fit on a slide, and two, it's impossible for me to cover everything. But I would like to go over them as much as I can, and with each, maybe tell a little story, give an example. I might ask someone online to be a volunteer in an experiment. That's what I had planned for this session. So it's a live session, and I hope everything keeps working as flawlessly as it's doing now. And I might invite some of you, or at least one of you, to later turn on their video, and we will unmute you for some experiment. Now, in this overview, you can see that there's, I don't know if it's very visible, it's quite thin, but there's a spiritual side of the courses, there's a healing and protection side, and a prosperity side. And these are just categories we're going to be looking into in more detail. So let's start with, let's see, healing and protection courses. Many of you, of course, know basic pranic healing. If you're new to pranic healing, that's where everything starts. It's a foundational course. I always say there's nothing basic about the basic. In these 2 days, you will learn a lot of things that can be applied in your life, mostly for your health, the health of your friends and family, and the foundation of the knowledge of energy, the energy body, the chakras. That's the starting point. And normally we would do the sensing of energy in the course. So it's one of the things you learn is how to feel prana. I'm not going to do that right now, but I will do something similar when we talk about the pranic facelift and body sculpting. And the advanced pranic healing is, it's really very advanced. Luckily, it is easy to practice, but the techniques are very advanced. The healing of fresh wounds, burns, serious ailments, how to treat them, it's all covered in advanced pranic healing. For me, it was amazing to actually learn techniques that worked for healing fresh wounds. If you read books on martial arts and other esoteric books, there's always these stories and these descriptions of healing taking place of fresh wounds. It sounds magical, and I could never find the how it is done. And in advanced pranic healing, of course, this is taught. It's in the book. You can look it up. And these techniques you can apply. Now, I had a personal experience with that because I wanted to see, for the longest time, the effects, because there was no case. Then one time, my sister, she cut her hand when she broke some glass. And it was like a 1.5 centimeter long cut. And it was bleeding. And then I said, oh, finally, I can now try out the protocol. So I took the book and I started applying the healing. And in 20 minutes, the wound had closed. And after 1.5 hours, I applied the technique again, just to be sure, but I don't even think that was necessary. So even though I'd been teaching the techniques, there hadn't been an opportunity to practice it, and that way I was able to experience it. And I'm sure for those of you who have been practicing advanced pranic healing, if you've had the opportunity, you know that this technique works. And isn't it amazing that after 2 days of basic pranic healing and another 2 days of advanced pranic healing, you're able to perform these kind of healings. So it's really, really very advanced. And there's not many places where I think you will be able to learn these kind of techniques. Then pranic psychotherapy is the course where, for me, the pieces of the puzzle get together. And for this, this is the part where I would like to invite a volunteer, since we cannot actually demonstrate how to do ailments, psychological ailments, in a very short time. We can, however, use the knowledge of the chakras, the pranic psychotherapy, to give an idea of someone's character. For this, I would like to ask for a volunteer. So if you would like to volunteer for this, please type it in the group chat, and I will pick a name, and we'll see if we can do a little pranic psychotherapy analysis of that person. So if you're interested, please write your name. I will wait for a volunteer. Okay. I just want to give everyone an opportunity to write their name, and I see already people writing their name, and I'll pick one. It's nice to see all of you, by the way. Thank you for joining. Okay, I'll just randomly pick someone on the screen. I'm not looking at. Jay Shri Gopal. Jay Shri, could you please turn on your video, and maybe we can unmute you. Let's see if I can.
Hello.
Hi, I can see you now.
Hi. Thank you.
So if you're okay with it, I will just scan your chakras and give you a quick
Sure.
feedback.
Sure.
Like check. Well, the good news is it's relatively balanced. So there's not a lot of strange things going on. So it's relatively balanced. Of course, we all have our individual differences. So there's something worth noting is one of your qualities is you have a high level of detail. You have creativity in the broadest sense. It doesn't necessarily have to be artistic, but also finding creative solutions is also creative. So I'm just saying this so that people understand the words that I'm using better. So in the broadest sense, it's a big quality. At the same time, if something is that developed, it can also lead to, for instance, perfectionism. So you could maybe sometimes give yourself a hard time in that. But the nice thing is that you have the ability to generate alternatives. Now the challenge is in then making the choices. I think that's slightly more difficult. So once you have all the alternatives, you might go into this. I have option A, B, C, D, E.
Yes.
And then start over again. I have option A, B, C, D, E. And the difficulty is to make the choice. Like, okay,
yeah.
making a choice means killing all other options. You wanted to say, JC?
Yeah, what you're saying is true.
Yeah. So this is just it's just a small thing, but we're always trying to find balance and make use of your quality, at the same time develop your other qualities as well. So don't stop being creative, don't stop being good at generating alternatives, but try to also develop the ability to make choices, so that way you'll be even more balanced than you are already.
Thank you.
So that's there. So that's just a quick little thing I can do right now. Maybe I'll just have one or two other people, just give them all small parts, and is a demonstration of what you could do with pranic psychotherapy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Can we also have, I'll pick someone else from this list. No, sorry, that's my wife. I know her too well. I have to pick someone else. Barinder. Let me see, where are you, Barinder? I have to look through my screens. Ah, there you are. Hi, you may, we'll probably unmute you so that you can speak.
Okay.
Ah, yes.
Atma Namaste, sir.
Atma Namaste. Is it okay if I do a quick scan and maybe give you a little feedback on your chakras? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just see. Okay. For you also, I think many pranic healers here, huh? They're quite balanced people. But I was just looking at the chakras, and you have a good sense of justice and fairness. And I think in the past, there may have been some challenges with people
Yes.
that may have not respected your boundaries, and that made you stronger and more clear in how far people can go.
Very true.
So it's a strength you've developed, and it's due to the circumstances. Life gives us those circumstances so that we're able to develop our strengths, and that's what's very apparent now. So I think many years ago, you were maybe too nice, too giving, and this tends to attract people that make use of that. But now it is you. Sometimes a little challenge with maybe new people you meet. They might not immediately understand you or feel connected to you, because part of you is still cautious, and this is it's something to just be aware of. It's like, okay, if you notice that someone, you feel you're not connecting to a person that you would like to connect to, or that you could voice it. You say like, well, I'm actually a very nice person, but I'm sometimes cautious. So does this make sense to you, Barinder?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great. So this was just what I would normally do in a session, like when explaining pranic psychotherapy. What we just discussed was based on the psychological functions of the chakras. So this is something you learn in pranic psychotherapy, and I always like to make it very tangible. And even just with the scanning and the feedback you can give people, you can help them um, develop themselves, create more balance. I'm seeing a question coming in via YouTube now. Someone's asking how to heal broken relationships. Now that's very interesting. That's also something that's covered in pranic psychotherapy. I would normally, when I do relationship therapy with pranic healing, I would invite both the partners. And the first thing I would ask them is, do you want to make this work? You know, if there is still the will to mend a relationship, that's the basic starting point. Then, based on pranic psychotherapy, you can analyze the differences between the people involved. And of course, things may have happened that need the practice of forgiveness. It's also something we include in the process. But first of all, the people need to be able, they need to be willing to mend the relationship. That's the fundamental basis to continue the process. Then in the process, you make both partners aware of their differences. And like, for instance, one person could be very much focused on the big picture, and the other person may have more emphasis on the details. And the details are also necessary. So when these partners, they plan a holiday, the one focused on the big picture would say, oh, we'll just go there and we'll figure it out. You know, this is the destination, and well, that's good enough for me. But the partner that's more into the details would go like, oh, but we need to plan everything, and what are we going to do, and what are we going to see? And there is no right or wrong in any of this. It's just being aware of what are the different characteristics, and then using each other's strength instead of fighting over it. It's like, well, I don't care, I just want to go there, but I don't, I have to know this and this, and get into an argument. You can also decide to recognize each other's strengths and say, oh, well, thank you for being so decisive and having a focus and the big picture in mind. Would you mind me going into the details and making a plan, which can be changed, but at least then we have something. And that way, through dialogue and knowledge of each other's personality, it's often possible to take care of the things that cause most arguments, that is lack of understanding and communication. Okay, so there's also a question for someone having a physically violent parent, a father in this case. Now, of course, you can do healing if the person, in this case, the father, wants or allows this healing to take place. Now, for this, we have to venture into the law of karma. And this is taught in basic pranic healing. Of course, it's a universal concept, so it's not a specific technique, but the soul chooses where it incarnates. So basically, the children have chosen the parent because there's some karmic tie, maybe. And if there is a need for forgiveness, then that might be something to start with. So this is actually a very specific situation. And I think there may be some issues with the internet connection. Hopefully they're resolved. It looks okay to me now. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you have with live sessions. Sometimes there is a glitch. So what I was saying is, I'll just repeat the last part in case we missed some of the audio. The soul chooses where it incarnates. So you have actually chosen your parents. So if the parents are abusive, there is maybe some karma that needs to be neutralized. Of course, this is not nice to hear, but well, that's just a theory of things. So how would you go about it? First, you have to practice forgiveness. You can do blessing. If the parent is open to it, you can do healing. And for the benefit of your soul, you need to neutralize the karma of injury. And if all that is taken care of, then the situation should change. But anyway, it's something we would definitely look into in a more personal session. So I have to, we will keep entertaining questions, but we also have to look into the rest of the topics. So that was more or less pranic psychotherapy. And crystal healing, of course, is the use of crystals. So you don't learn any new types of ailments to heal, but everything you learn in basic, advanced, and psychotherapy gets accelerated by the use of crystals. It's a tools training. So it's definitely worth doing if you do a lot of healing, and if you like crystals in general. Of course, there are some situations where it's better not to wear crystals and maybe not hold them for an extended period of time. But that's all discussed in the course. Then the facelift and body sculpting. Now, this is something when I was invited to the teacher training, I was wondering, well, should I be doing, aesthetics? Aren't there more severe cases for me to heal or things to teach? Or it was a genuine question. And so I kept an open mind. I said, well, you know what? I will go to this training and then I'll decide what to do with it. And as we did the teacher training, I realized that, wow, it is also such a rich knowledge, experience, teachings. It shifted what I felt was possible. So if you learn how to change the shape of a body without touching it, for me, it shifted for the first time in a long time what I felt was possible. Now, in that process, everything else you do also becomes easier. And so when you're treating a brain tumor, also this seems less of a problem. So if it seems less of a problem to you, it will be less of a problem in the healing process. So it enhances all your healings, not only the aesthetics healings. Even if you don't do any facelift and body sculpting treatments, you would still benefit from learning how to do them so that it affects all your other treatments as well. And here is an experiment all of us can do. And this is actually something that I learned from Christine. I was looking for a experiment that shows that energy affects matter. That's something that is a fundamental thing. If you can show that energy affects matter, then it has implications for health, for all kinds of physical reality. Now, the practice or the experiment that you could do is simply take, for instance, your left hand and don't touch it, but just don't know if it's visible. Sweep it from, oh, sorry, before we do that, first you have to put your hands together like this and make sure that you look at your fingertips, make sure that the base of your hand is connected, and you look at your fingertips and that they're even, or more or less even. So, for instance, the middle finger are both at the same height. So this is your baseline measurement. Now, you can just sweep upwards, maybe 10 times roughly. You just keep sweeping it upwards without touching the hand. And then when you connect the base of your palms together again, and you bring your fingers, you will notice maybe there is a difference. Now, when I do this in a live session, in a group of people, at least I think maybe 20% of 30% of the people are able to do it. And this is for general public. I mean, it's not pranic healers, it's general public. So if you're with pranic healers that are used to doing healing, it may be even more. Now, of course, I cannot leave you with your with your fingers in a uneven state. So we're going to reverse the situation. You just sweep back down from top to bottom. So in the reverse motion that we just did, roughly the same amount of times. And then okay. I think we had a little freeze, but I'm back. I didn't say a lot because I noticed the freeze, so I didn't think we missed anything. So how many of you were able to change the length of your fingers without, oh, see, a lot of people. There you go. Amazing, huh? It's a very simple experiment, and it's something you can do if you want to show that energy effects matter. This is also the basis of pranic facelift and body sculpting. Of course, in the body sculpting, where it's much more elaborate, you know, we use more advanced techniques, but this is a simple example of how that works. So these are the healing courses. There's also a protection course called Psychic Self-Defense. Psychic self-defense is, it's from simple things, day-to-day life, your colleagues criticizing you, or family members having negative emotions, and how this affects your own life, health, how you feel. So psychic self-defense is very, it's about interaction. It's about interaction. It's about the proper use of power, and also, of course, how to protect yourself. Now, there's two main components. One is not to be affected by, and the other is not to let yourself be affected by. So there is an internal state and an external state that is also discussed in psychic self-defense. And loads of techniques. It's like a big buffet of all kinds of techniques to protect yourself. And we have students in different parts of the world. And of course, in some parts of the world, it is more prevalent to have actual psychic attacks on purpose. I'm not talking about, you know, the generic criticism and stuff, that the day-to-day things that people do that they're not even aware of, and there's no malintent. I'm talking about more the, you know, intended psychic attacks, maybe using energetic techniques, rituals. So this is all covered in the psychic self-defense. It's of course worth doing. It's something worth learning. It doesn't matter whether you're you know, in a country where these things are common. It also has to do with your day-to-day life and how the thoughts and emotions of your surroundings can affect you, and how your own thoughts and emotions play a process in that. It's a very useful thing. I feel it's a course that is not completely understood what it is. It's also hard to explain if you have no prior knowledge. But it is it's a very useful thing. I think it's like, yeah, something basic that everyone should understand, like how does interaction work energetically, and how do these things affect myself and other people. So those were the healing courses. I'm noticing that, you know, there's some requests in the group chat. I might get back to you if if it's a personal thing. I might get back to you at a later stage. I need to also make sure we cover everything from our topic of today. So back to our chart here, we looked at this part. Now there's also a certification program, and this is connected to increasing your own healing skills in the process of becoming certified. So for the certification program, there's certain requirements. You have to do an exam. In the end, you have to have successful cases. You have to document them. You need signatures of your clients. It is mostly to prove to yourself, and if you want, to the rest of your world, that you have developed a certain skill. And it's very useful. I mean, some people like to hang up the certificates, and in some countries it's necessary to have credibility. But mostly I think it's for yourself. It changes your confidence level, your skillfulness. It is a lot of work though. Don't get into it haphazardly. Make sure that you have enough time to do the healings required to do the certification. Of course, your local coordinator can help you with the details. You know, I run the program, of course, in the Netherlands and Belgium, and I support the programs in the other countries like Suriname and the Dutch Caribbean. And but everyone has a local person they can talk to about it. So I won't go into much detail about the certification program. I just wanted to say that make sure you have sufficient time to do the healings, and also it's mostly a big step forward in your own healing skills and confidence. Then let us move to the spiritual courses. Now, this is something very special. There are two courses, two spiritual courses that have no prerequisites. And that is the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul and the Universal and Kabbalistic Meditation on the Lord's Prayer, which is amazing. I mean, the topics discussed there are of a very high level, yet you don't need any prerequisites to get in. I would definitely suggest that you take these courses if you have the opportunity. Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul literally is, of course, the topic of the course. And we cannot guarantee that after the course, suddenly you will be enlightened. Actually, that's very unlikely that will happen. But you will have the techniques, you'll have the knowledge, you'll have the overview of what is needed to become one with your higher soul. And of course, that is the purpose of human incarnation. It also helps in day-to-day life matters. If you apply the techniques you learn in the course, you'll be more aligned with your soul purpose. You have to watch for the signs, of course, but it will help you tune in more. Like what is needed right now for me, and this can prevent you from, maybe taking a long time doing things, finding your flow. I notice it has value to take this course even after you've done Arhatic Prep, for instance. I notice students come to this course and then realize, oh, now I understand why I'm doing Arhatic Yoga. Or because we have time in the course to delve deep, to dive deeply into topics that normally you just don't have time during the Arhatic Prep. In some countries, the Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul is called Arhatic Prep 1, and what we in Europe call Arhatic Prep is called Arhatic Prep 2. So it just gives you an idea. It's a foundational course, and just like basic pranic healing, there is nothing basic about achieving oneness with the higher soul. Then the Universal and Kabbalistic Meditation on the Lord's Prayer, it's a beautiful course, and it really amazes me that there is no prerequisite to take this course. In some countries, basic, but even then, you would expect it to be somewhere further down the road, because it has very advanced techniques in there in the practice of these universal and Kabbalistic meditations, and a lot of deep esoteric topics discussed in a very understandable way. So if you have the opportunity, again, this is something you can get into easily and can have a big impact on your practice. Then, of course, the Arhatic Yoga is, it's a fundamental thing. For this, there are more requirements, what you can see in the chart. Either basic, advanced, and psychotherapy, or basic, advanced, and achieving oneness are the two routes to Arhatic Yoga. Starts with the preparatory level, then there's different levels. If I'll just go back to this slide. It starts here, and then you can build. This, of course, takes many years of practice to get through the higher levels. And, I always say, well, it's something, it's a multi-lifetime plan, but you can do as much as you can this lifetime so that, you can continue where you left off the next one. Then there's some other courses worth mentioning. Spiritual Essence of Man. What I love about it is how how the different cultures and traditions are mapped on to the same model. Master used to say, truth is universal. You will find it everywhere, and in every culture, in different languages, in different words, there's the same spiritual essence of man, which is described. Of course, man includes woman here. There's just it's a way of putting it down in English. Then the Om Mani Padme Hum is another course what I found interesting about the book is it gives this very detailed description of Lord Mahaboji Meiling or Padmasambhava. And it's like a very elaborate description. It will even, if you know the description, you could probably recognize this soul, should you ever encounter. And I think that is it's always interesting why there's certain emphasis on things, and I always wondered why there is that emphasis. But still some food for thought. Then there's the revealed courses, Hinduism revealed, Buddhism revealed, Christianity revealed, and they help to see the spirituality in the different religions. And I find that absolutely beautiful. There's also books, of course, connected to these courses. And these are worthwhile, even to, just to understand your own faith or culture better, and to see how it's very similar to other faiths in essence. So that is the overview of the spiritual courses. Of course, I cannot cover everything, but I feel the need to at least give you some idea of what it is. Now, for me personally, this has so much richness, thanks to the spiritual courses and everything. Actually, I feel it has made me a better person, and I wish that everyone that wants that for themselves also have access to these teachings, and hopefully you'll find your way to all of it. Then the next part is the manifestation part, and it's also called the prosperity and abundance courses. So it's a shorter list. Kriya Shakti, of course, is very popular amongst pranic healers. It always needs some explanation. And the way I describe it is, there's many books, videos on manifestation out there. Many of them focus on your thoughts and emotions. Maybe some of you have read the book or seen the video called The Secret. And I say, well, Kriya Shakti is the secret behind the secret. It's like the formula that if you cover all the pillars of Kriya Shakti, which are explained in the course, something has to happen, has to manifest. And if something doesn't manifest, you have to just go back to your list and check what's off, what is not complete or not proper yet, and then you'll be able to manifest things. Because if you only look at your thoughts and emotions, it's just part of the picture. It's not the complete picture. As an example out of my personal life is one time I got this letter in the Netherlands. It was written by the Queen, a letter from the Queen. Well, that's how they come in blue envelopes. It's taxes. So I got this request to pay 25,000 euros in taxes within 2 weeks. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't have that on my account at the time. But I did know Kriya Shakti. And so what I did is I applied the techniques that you learn in the course. And after, I think, 4 or 5 days, an old client called, and And I used to be in IT, at an IT consultancy firm. Of course, and at that time he called, I wasn't active with that anymore, but he said, well, can you please help me, because I know you don't do this anymore, but I got this offer to develop some software, and I don't know if it's if it's proper, if there is if the amount makes sense, the work makes sense. And I looked at it, and they were overcharging him by 400%. Now that's, of course, it's too much. You can be off by maybe 10-15% because you are doing things differently or using other technology. But this was a huge difference. He was actually just being fleeced. And I told him that, and he said, okay, could you do it? And since I had this letter of the Queen, I said, well, sure. So they were charging 300,000. I said it's worth a fourth of it, and the down payment was 25,000, and I could pay my taxes. And I did it within 1.5 weeks. But this is one of the many stories of many students have the success of and the effectivity of Kriya. Pranic Feng Shui is, of course, our version of Feng Shui, and energy-based, and it just makes things flow better. Of course, you still need to have proper karmic entitlement, but if there's a better flow of energy in your surroundings, it will make you feel better and make you more effective. And this will, of course, affect your abundance and prosperity. Spiritual business management is where spirituality meets business management. It's a course where two kinds of people partake in: people with a pranic healing background and maybe people with a business background. And I like to see the feedback of the different audiences. So the pranic healing students would say, wow, okay, I never thought management could be spiritual and so structured. So they learn something about management. And then when the business people come, and I would ask for the feedback, and they stress very different things, like, wow, I could feel energy, and they're mostly familiar with the business management part. Of course, there's the additional spiritual perspective on it, but they're very much emphasizing the energetic and the spiritual part. So it's a nice combination of where spirituality meets business management. So these were the three main categories. Of course, there is much more. There are many courses I haven't even mentioned yet, and it's it's a bit too much for this talk to mention everything, but at least I've covered many things in a little bit, and share some experiences, some practical things, some experiments. I would highly suggest you obtain and read the books. There are gems in the books. Even if you've taken the course, you will find all kinds of hidden gems in the books. I read the Miracles Through Pranic Healing. I read it 7 times, and even the 7th time, I read things which I was this there the last 6 times I read this book. So read and reread and study the books. They're written in a very simple, understandable way, which is very hard to do for the writer. So I always love how Master Choa can take complex topics and make them very understandable. There's a lot of ongoing research. There's pranic agriculture, there's pranic healing, or at least character building and topics doable for children in different countries in different ways. There is, my personal research is more in the field of organizations and management, and how to make pranic healing organizations more effective by using pranic healing knowledge and techniques. And on the other hand, I also assist pranic healing organizations to help them manage themselves better. So that is the ongoing research. Oh, I guess maybe this was during lunchtime, and I said, and munch more. So everyone should munch more. Just kidding. So I just want to check if there's any questions, anything people want to put in the chat regarding these topics. I'll just wait if there's any questions, and otherwise we'll round up the session for today. So I think we can round up the session for today. Let's do Thanksgiving prayer first. You may close your eyes, connect your tongue to your palate, and relax. To the Universal Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Wonder, Master Chokup Sui, all the spiritual teachers, all the beings that help and guide us, we humbly give thanks for everything we received today, the things we're aware of, and also the things that we're not aware of. We give thanks for that. With gratitude, respect, and love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you have any questions, some of you had some personal questions, feel free to email info@pranicv.com. And I would recommend everyone to follow the courses, read the books, and practice what you have learned. And till next time, namaste.